Hi everybody, Michelle McLuhan, astrologer and life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next full moon, which is happening on the 14th of March in the sign of Virgo. This is not just a full moon, it also enters us into eclipse season. So it's the first eclipse of the year, and it is a lunar eclipse, which is a full moon lunar eclipse. This is a blood moon eclipse, which is where the moon is obscured a little bit by the Earth's shadow. And so what happens is the moon appears to go like a red color, which is why it's called a blood moon eclipse, and known sort of historically and mythologically as being quite a profound time for shedding, for releasing, for letting go, for culmination. But it's a bigger, more potent full moon than a normal full moon. And this will be followed up in 2 weeks' time on the 29th by a solar eclipse. So this is the beginning of our eclipse cycle. Eclipse cycles are always connected to the nodes of the moon. And I've spoken in previous updates that the nodes of the moon have just changed signs. So the nodes of the moon are now along the axis of Pisces, Virgo. And this full moon is on that axis, Pisces, Virgo. However, what we need to understand at this full moon and with this nodal change is that the nodal change represents our past and where we're headed towards. And so it gives us a little bit of a directional axis, if you like. So if you look at the nodal axis that we're in now, the south node, which relates to the past, our ancestry, our past patterns, our past conditioning, past lives, is in the sign of Virgo. The north node is in the sign of Pisces. That is where we are headed. That's where we are supposed to be opening up to, embracing, moving into connection and alignment with that north node. So that's going to be the case for the next 18 months. The last time this happened, the last time we had an eclipse at this degree, it was in 2006 in March, and you might find that this energy has a similar energy to that what was going on there for you in your chart. So for example, the way these full moons, new moons, eclipses work in your chart, as well as all the other planetary alignments, is that, for example, the full moon would be transiting, which would be moving through a particular portion of your chart. If you've had your chart done before and you've got a printout, you'll see that it's got houses on the clock face, and those houses are different areas in life on Earth. So when a full moon or a new moon connects with a certain part of your chart, that would usually be where this change, this culmination, or if it's a new moon, the new beginning would be happening. And it would also penetrate other areas of your chart, but there might be a focus in those areas. So this full moon will be, and as well as the eclipses for the next 18 months, will be happening on this axis, the Virgo-Pisces axis, apart from the next one, which is still going to be on the Aries axis. This was going to be the last eclipse that we have when the planet Neptune is also in the sign of Pisces. So it's very definitely kind of confirming this closing down, end of cycle, transitionary theme. It's a little bit like we're between worlds. John and I did a Facebook Live on Sunday about that. I'll put the link down below if you want to listen to that. We spoke about being in between worlds, not here, not there. And in my experience, a lot of people are experiencing that feeling of not quite knowing what's next, not quite knowing where to go next, what the direction is, but having to kind of hold a space for the unknown. And that's very, very in line with this full moon. So if we break it down a little bit, we look at where Virgo is, because that is where the full moon is, and it's next to the south node. Now, Virgo is a sign which likes to create order out of chaos. Virgo likes to have a plan, likes to know where it's going, is quite practical, quite grounded, can be quite skeptical, can be a little bit critical. It's very discerning, this, that, black, white, gray, good, bad, healthy, not healthy, very good at discerning. But it likes to have a plan. It likes to know that there's some kind of control mechanism in place and that you've got your hands on the steering wheel and you're driving the boat, the ship, the plane, the car. Now, aligned with that, because it's with the south node, there can be things that come up at this full moon lunar eclipse things that are related to our issues about control, about our fears and feelings of lack of security, because all control comes from a position of fear. If I don't control it, then I'm going to be in trouble. There's an attachment to outcomes. There could be the tendency to micromanage things or to try to. And in that process, there's a kind of a closing down. So when we're in control, or when we think we're in control, when we're trying to control everything, we are closed. Our energy bodies start to close down. And we start to, our breath goes into a shallower place. Adrenaline pumps through us. And we're not able to actually think very clearly, even though that's what we want to do. And this is what could be coming up right now. It could be coming up in terms of anxiety about where you're going. Have you got things under control? Now, confirming this alignment and sort of accentuating a little bit is that on the other side, we have the Sun in Pisces, which is all about letting go of control, but the Sun is in a very close alignment with Saturn. And Saturn is very concerned about control. Saturn wants to know what your plan is, where you're going, how you're going to look after yourself, how you're going to pay the bills. It's very concerned with structure and goals and planning. So you can see that there's quite a big theme here, because you've got Saturn in a very close connection with the Sun, and then you've got the North Node and you've got Neptune all in the sign of Pisces. Neptune is right at the end of its journey in Pisces. It's about to move into Aries in April. Saturn is at the end, is nearing the end of its journey in Pisces. Major cycles closing down. So what that's saying is that we are closing down, closing off major cycles. Not just this cycle, not just even this human incarnation cycle. There could be karmic cycles also coming to an end. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, if you're feeling a little bit confused, you're not alone. It's quite natural, because we are kind of in between those worlds. We are not here and not there, and we're not quite sure what's going to be next, because it isn't clear yet. So you might be feeling a little tired. You might be feeling not so driven. You might be wanting to retreat more, step back more. You might find that you're a little bit confused, a little bit off. Your energy might be a bit off. Maybe you're battling to sleep. Maybe you're sleeping too much. Maybe you are battling to let go of old resentments or old fears. Maybe the fears are kind of in your face right now. So if you're feeling any of those things, just bring yourself into the flow. So because we've got control and we've got flow. You could say we've got control and planning and thinking, overthinking, overdoing. And on the other hand, we've got surrendering, allowing things to unfold. So when we're standing in the middle trying to control it, it's not very, very effective. It's like standing in a river trying to control the river of life. These alignments are saying, can you just surrender to life? And life is living you. Can you open to the unknown? Can you embrace the unknown? And this brings up issues of trust. If we're living in a very fearful state, and if we think we actually are in control, and we think that we have to control the whole thing, then we're going to be in fear. If we, however, know that there's a greater plan, there's a greater design, that we are supported always by the divine, then the fear reduces. So this is what we are working with in our evolution, is actually moving more into a place of allowing, a place of flow, and being less attached to the control, to the closing. So I just see this as a huge shift in our consciousness. We are learning how to let go when we can't change something. When we can step in and we can do something physically, then we do it. We employ the mind, we employ that beautiful Virgo energy, which helps us to be practical and grounded and water the plants and cook the food and get the groceries and do our taxes and all of those things that we have to do as adults. But when we don't have that, when we can't control an outcome, we're being asked to let go and surrender to life. the life that is breathing us, the life that is beating our heart and growing our fingernails, that life force. And so we're moving into an alignment with life, with light, with the flow of life. And so that's the energy that we're actually embracing this full moon, this lunar eclipse, and over the next few months, is allow, soften, lean back, open, especially when you feel that anxiety coming up. There could be anxiety coming up right now. There could be anxiety coming up at the full moon. So if there is, pause, breathe. Breathe out, soften your shoulders. Just that actually starts to relax the parasympathetic nervous system and helps us to move out of that stressful control mode into a more relaxed, aligned mode. And I think a lot of people get a little bit confused about surrender. They think that surrender is giving up. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is just giving up the control or the attachment to the outcome. It's flowing with what we need to do, but in a more relaxed way than trying to be in control of it all. Other themes associated with this is it's a very good time to clear out. So if you've got cupboards that are jam-packed full of stuff you don't need, clear out. This is a really good full moon to do that as we move towards it. And over the next few weeks as well, as the moon then starts to wane, also a good time to release, to detox, to let go. Let go of old resentments, let go of old things that you've been hanging on to that you do not need to carry into this next phase of our evolution. Because there is something coming in terms of new growth, new sovereignty, new ways of doing things. There really is new energy, but this is kind of preparing us for that and saying, okay, so how able are we to cope with change? And it's a day-by-day, moment-by-moment practice. So bringing ourselves back, coming back home to who we really are, and coming back to love, coming back to that ocean of love, which is the Pisces theme, after all, and not attaching to outcome, not attaching to our goals, not attaching to our roles, working towards our goals, but not attaching to the outcome of them, rather allowing life to flow and to unfold. And when we're in that state of flow, things pop up and intuitive flashes happen and interesting, unexpected meetings happen and incredible things happen that we would not be able to control with our minds or with force. And they really do. When you let go of the control, you let go of the force, things start to unfold. So just check in with your body and feel, am I closing? Am I opening? Am I allowing or am I trying to control? And just make the choice in that moment to relax back a little bit, to lean back a little bit. You can feel the energy when you sigh, breathe out and allow, as opposed to I'm here and I'm trying to control it. It shuts us down. The other thing that's happening is Venus is retrograde still in the sign of Aries, and Mercury is going retrograde the day after the full moon. So it's always a good time before Mercury goes retrograde to check your data, to maybe do a backup on your computer or your cell phone, check your travel arrangements, and just be aware of communicating clearly, because there can be some confusing communications around about this time, misunderstandings. If you can, speak directly to the person instead of actually sending a text, because things can be misinterpreted, especially when there's a lot of Neptunian Pisces energy around, lots of misunderstandings. So rather make a connection with somebody one-on-one. Talk to them, communicate with them. Venus being retrograde, we might be looking at our relationships, seeing what we need to do, what we need to change. Our relationships might be triggering and be catalysts to our growth and to our expansion, to our being. So that can actually be also the case. We could see changes in the financial markets. We could see changes in the things that we value, our resources. So it's a time to really look at what is valuable to you. How do you take your energy out into the world? Are you aligning with that you love to do? Venus is the planet of love. How's your love happening? What's happening there? Are you just striving, hustling, or are you actually making time for yourself, for beauty? Venus is the planet of beauty, connecting with nature, connecting with beauty. So that is what I see for this full moon and the energy for the next couple of months. We have 2 retreats coming up. John and I, we have one coming up at the BRC, which is the Buddhist Retreat Center in KwaZulu-Natal. That's happening from the 11th to the 15th of April. It's an amazing venue. It's a really, really wonderful place. That's called The Shift. It's a 4-day retreat, and it's a beautiful venue. The food's wonderful, the environment's amazing, and it gives you a chance to really reset and reboot your energy and connect with yourself and your innermost essence so that you can actually navigate the changes and the shifts and the very fast moving pace of 2025 and 2026. Okay, we're in transition the whole of this year and into next year. So this isn't a short-term thing. We then have another retreat, which we're very excited about, in Hogsback on the 9th, from the 9th to the 13th of May. Hogsback's a very, very powerful place, and we're going to be doing an autumn retreat there, which is, again, it's letting go. In South Africa, the Southern Hemisphere, it's autumn then, when the leaves start to turn and drop off the trees, and we start to shift gear. So that'll be a shifting gear workshop. We will actually also be releasing that which we don't need and embracing that which we do want to move into. So both of those are beautiful. Please have a look. I will put links below to how you can find out more about those retreats and how you can make inquiries about how you can join us. I did pull a card out of our Divine Feminine pack by Megan Watterson, and the card that I pulled is Shekinah, the presence of the Divine Feminine. Guys, this is for you as well, if there's any men watching this. At the center of everything, there is light, and I am that light. The Shekinah represents the omnipresence and the immanence of the Divine Feminine. The word Shekinah in Hebrew means to settle, to inhabit, to dwell. It represents an experience of the divine presence right here in the body and in the world. In Zohar, the main sacred text in the Kabbalah, the Shekinah is described as being a world within the world, as a bright radiance at the center of everything. All life on earth, all consciousness is part of her light and is therefore sacred. The metaphysical theory of immanence is that the divine presence is manifested in the material world. So there isn't actually any matter, whether organic or inorganic, that isn't also a part of the divine. The Shekinah is light that inhabits your body, your cells, and is in the cells of all the people and objects you see around you. She is also about pure experience. She is the message, the truth, that there is light at the center of everything that happens to us, both the good and the bad. And the Shekinah is the reminder that we are not just this body or this pain that we might be going through, or this confusing moment in our brief life. We are light. And right now, we can just know this. Just reassure ourselves of this. We can experience the light that we are, and that is enough. That can be the miracle and the answer that we actually need. No words, no meaning, simply and more profoundly, pure, radiant being. Soul voice meditation, enter the heart and repeat this mantra. I am light. See what images and words arise, if anything. At the center of everything there is light, and I am that light. Very in keeping with this energy of these times. I hope that has helped you seeing what's going on, feeling what's going on, getting a sense of whether it's aligned with your own energy. Just remember to be kind, be compassionate. Everybody's moving through something. Very few people know exactly where they're going and exactly what they're doing, and very few people have got their ducks in a row. even if it might appear to be so on the outside. You'll probably find some random ducks running around that are definitely not in a row. So if we can all just be compassionate and open our hearts to people, even if they are tricky and troublesome, they are showing us and helping us on our own journeys. If you resonated with this, please would you like the video on the little button below? That helps to get it out there to more people. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the notification button, you'll be notified when I put up a new video. And if you really liked it, you could share it with some other people. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Deep breaths. Until then.